Hi, my name is Susan Burke from interactivelessons.com.au. We are going to look at how to create some interesting self-correcting activities for students using Smart Notebook. This one is called the Activity Builder. This one is only available in the new Smart Learning Suite, not in the older versions of Smart Notebook. I will be doing some other videos later on for things that you can do in Smart Notebook at version 11. This one is in the new Smart Learning Suite. So here we have an activity builder is what it's called. It's very similar to the Vortex activities in older versions of Smart Notebook. Basically what happens is you create your categories on the page and you ask the students to drag in items where they belong. And if they're correct, so if you're going to drag a living thing into here, it will accept it by sucking it in and making it disappear. If you are incorrect, it will reject it by snapping it back out, which then gives you a go at doing it correctly. The reason these activities are great is because in an active classroom setting, you don't need to be at the board with your students doing this. It's self-correcting, so students can have a group at the board. They can take turns at doing it while you as the teacher are working with another group. So we're going to now learn how to create that. I'll just delete it so that I can start from scratch for you and we can show you how to do it. It's really simple. We're going to begin with a blank page, and to create the categories, I just used the shape tool. I selected a circle, gave it a color, and then I just drew the circle. Once I've drawn that circle, I'm going to right click and clone it for the second one. Obviously you can have just one category that you're wanting them to do. You can do two, you can do three, it's up to you. I'm going to change the color of that one, and then I'm going to use our text tool up here to type in the category names. So we're going to have living and we're going to have non-living for this activity example. Now I want the titles, living and non-living, to be one object with the circle or the oval shape. So I'm going to group the word and the object. So I'm selecting that word there by clicking on it. I'm holding down my shift key and clicking on the circle so that they are both selected. Then I'm going to either one of these drop down, it doesn't matter which ones, the drop down arrows. I'm going to group and select group. So now that moves as one. The other way to do that is to put your mouse outside the two objects and click and drag up and across. You can see that they are both now selected, and I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Control-G, and now they have been grouped as well. The next step is to find and insert the images that you want your students to be categorizing. Now obviously there's lots of different places that you can find images. We're going to start by looking in the gallery, which is over here on the toolbar, the side toolbar. The gallery icon looks like a picture. We're going to type in things that we would like them to use for this category. So I've found a dog and I just drag it in. And once I've dragged it in, I can use that bottom circle with my mouse to resize it. I might want something that's non-living now, so the chair was a good example, and I'm just going to press that search icon after I've done that, and I'm going to drag the one that I like in, and once again I can resize it however I want. Let's get another thing. We can go with the bird as an example of a living thing. I've typed it in and I simply drag it in, or double click it, works as well. And perhaps one more, we might just do the car and searching and pictures, and I'm going to drag in the car. Okay, so we've got a few examples there. Now obviously you can put in as many or as few examples as will suit your class. Also, there are other sorts of images that you might want to put in. So these are sort of cartoonish type images. You might want to do realistic photographic images, which you can find on Google Images, download them, and then all you need to do is insert them. You'd save them wherever you want on your desktop or in a file. You would go to insert picture and then you'd have them on the page. Also, if you don't want to just find them on Google Images, another learning activity within this unit of work could have been that you ask the students to photograph things in the school grounds that are living and non-living, and then they take that photograph and they send it to you so that you can insert it. So that's a great way of getting your digital technologies part of the curriculum done as well, because you're asking the students to capture data and things like that. So that's fantastic. So the same thing applies. Wherever you get your images from, however you insert them onto the page, size them up so that they're all visible and movable. And now we're going to actually animate these two things so that they are able to either accept or reject these images. So we go over to the side toolbar and a little puzzle piece which is called an add-on. They're our add-ons. There's a number of cool things in here. We're going to use the activity builder right there. So we click on activity builder. I'm going to select the circle category that I want to begin with. And over in Activity Builder, I'm going to select Edit, and you'll see that it changes and gets all these lines on it. That means it's active now for me to start creating in it. So it's asking me here, accept these objects, drag the objects here to accept them. So for living, I want it to accept the bird. I'm simply dragging it in, and I want it to accept the dog. One thing that you can get caught out with here is if you have ticked auto hide, you won't be able to drag things in. So make sure that auto hide down here is not ticked. Now, rather than having to drag all the other ones into the other, once you've done the ones that you want to accept, you've got a really simple one here, add all remaining. So I'm going to add all remaining and they will be rejected. So once I've done that, I click on done. And now this one will accept or reject. So if I drag in the bird, it's going to suck it in. If I drag in the car into the living category, it will spit it out. We haven't animated this one yet. So if I try to do that here, nothing's going to happen. So we need to animate that one as well. So it's the same concept. You simply click on it and go through the same steps. We're going to edit that object. We are going to drag in the items that we want to be accepted into the non-living category, and we are going to ask it to add all remaining to the reject section. And then we are done. So we click on done, and now it will do what we've asked it to do, accepting and rejecting of the different items. And that's as simple as that. So a really simple activity, but so very useful. And you can imagine you can do this with obviously lots of different categories. It doesn't have to be with images, it can be with words. You could have a category that is for nouns, one for verbs, all sorts of things like that, depending on what you're doing. You could do it for maths, you could have odd numbers and even numbers. So it's a simple activity that is easy to create, really useful in the classroom. And hopefully now you'll be able to utilize that. So that's Activity Builder. The quick reminder pieces to take away is that you find Activity Builder on your side toolbar, you click on the puzzle piece and you find the one that's called Activity Builder. You need to put all the things on your page that you're going to be playing with first, and then you go to that Activity Builder to go through those steps of identifying and animating for things to be accepted or rejected into the activity, into the categories. Great. If you have any questions around that, please feel free to contact me, susan@interactivelessons.com.au. I hope that's helpful. See you at the next one.